I know I might not be the headmaster, but I'm the prefect. So please be careful. I have an announcement to make. I have to inform the House that I have received a non-adverse report from the Parliamentary Legal Committee on the Climate Change Management Bill, HB 5A 2025. Are there any notices of motion? Yes, Honorable Njanji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to give notice that tomorrow, the 3rd June of 2026, we'll move a motion that this House considers and adopts the report of the Portfolio Committee on Local Government, Public Works, National Housing, on a petition from Tinashe Matika and Kosikana Sibanda of Wange on the dual local government administration in Wange, seconded by Honorable Mujay. So I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Njanji. Are there any further notices of motion?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I do have two.
Yes, Honorable, please go ahead. Karikoga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Before I move my notices of motion, Honorable Speaker, allow me to warmly congratulate our Honorable Speaker, Speaker Mudenda, on the occasion of his birthday on the 31st of May. Honorable Speaker.
Order.
Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Honorable Mangwa, please have a bit of decorum there. Is there anything wrong with somebody being wished a happy birthday? You must be coming from the wrong parts of Zimbabwe.
The Deputy Chief Whip has a birthday.
Order.
On a point of order.
Order.
She has a birthday.
On a point of order.
Order.
The Deputy Chief Whip has a birthday.
Order, honorable member. Honorable members, let's not get overexcited. No, we can't do that. Please. Honorable Karikoga, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to comment on his transparency, balanced and exemplary leadership, that he continues to guide this House with dignity, fairness, and wisdom. Honorable Speaker, his qualities of academic depth,
Point of order.
institutional memory,
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
and unwavering commitment to this House is rightly emulated. We wish to honor his guidance, not only in this Parliament, Honorable Speaker, but in regional and continental bodies, such as IPU and others. We wish to say to our Honorable Speaker, happy birthday. Now, Honorable Speaker, I go to my motions. I give notice that this House takes note of the report of the Portfolio Committee on Transport and Infrastructural Development on the 2025 third and fourth quarter budget performance reports for the ministry. I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Karikoga. Are there any further notices of motion?
Honorable Speaker, I said I do have two.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes.
Thank you.
You may go ahead. Order, honorable members.
I give notice that, Honorable Speaker, tomorrow that this House takes note of the delegation report of the 152nd Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union and the related meetings held in Istanbul, Turkey from the 18th to 23 of October 2025. I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Karikoga. Are there any other further notices of motion? I have 3 points of national interest here with me. The first honorable member to take the floor is Honorable A. Danzi.
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker. Sir.
Good afternoon.
I rise on a point of national interest to place on record the profound appreciation of this august House for the bold and historic strides being taken by His Excellency Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa in championing the meaningful inclusion and elevation of women in the governance and leadership of our own great nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have recently witnessed a defining moment in Zimbabwe's constitutional judicial history with the appointment of Justice Elizabeth Kwaunza to the esteemed office of Chief Justice, which is a historic first that signals a fundamental transformation
Order. Honorable Mangwa, this should be your last warning. All right. This is your last warning. Next time I will ask you to leave the house. The cameras must not deter us from our duty. Please. Can Honorable Danzi be heard in silence?
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have recently witnessed a defining moment in Zimbabwe's constitutional and judicial history with the appointment of Justice Elizabeth Kwaunza to the esteemed office of Chief Justice, which is a historic first that signals a fundamental transformation in how this nation values the intellect, integrity, and capability of women. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Danzi. It is indeed a very pertinent issue that you brought up. There have been a lot of conventions and meetings toward the emancipation of women in society, and it's very healthy and it's very encouraging to see our President, His Excellency, Comrade Emerson Mnangagwa, leaving that route by appointing women to take charge of such powerful and high institutions. So definitely we want to commend our President for that stance. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable M. Kumede.
Afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Good afternoon.
I rise on a point of national interest regarding the ongoing validation and securitization of title deeds being undertaken by the Department of Deeds, Companies, and Intellectual Property through the Digital Land Administration platform. Honorable Speaker, the objective of strengthening property rights, improving the integrity of land records, and protecting citizens from the land fraud is both commendable and necessary. Thousands of Zimbabweans have invested their savings in acquiring homes and residential stands, and any initiative that enhances confidence in property ownership deserves support. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, there is growing public concern regarding the affordability, accessibility, and practical implementation of this exercise. Information currently available to the public indicates that property owners may be required to engage conveyancers at a cost of approximately $200 US. This excludes VAT and other associated administrative expenses. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, for many families, $200 represents several months of disposable income. For pensioners, for civil servants, for widows, informal traders, and many low-income households, such costs are simply beyond reach. A program intended to secure citizens' property rights should not inadvertently become a source of financial hardship, uncertainty, or exclusion for the very people it seeks to protect. Honorable Speaker, these concerns are further compounded by the implementation framework established under Statutory Instrument 76 of 2025. The regulations provided for a transitional period ending on 18 July 2027, after which citizens are expected to have validated and securitized their title deeds. While the objective of modernizing and securing land records is commendable, there are legitimate concerns as to whether this exercise can realistically be completed within the available time frame. At present, Mr. Speaker, the relevant services remain concentrated primarily in Harare and Bulawayo. Property owners from other provinces, particularly elderly citizens, pensioners, and those residing in rural communities, may face significant travel, accommodation, and administrative costs in accessing this process. Without adequate decentralization of services and robust public awareness programs, there is a risk that many law-abiding property owners may struggle to comply with the requirements through no fault of their own. Therefore, there is therefore an urgent need for clarity on several issues of public concern. Number one, whether participation in the validation and securitization process is voluntary or mandatory. Number two, whether existing title deeds remain fully valid and legally enforceable pending validation. Number three, what measures are being put in place to protect vulnerable groups from excessive costs associated with the process? Number four, whether government has considered subsidizing, reducing, or waiving fees for pensioners, low-income earners, and other vulnerable citizens. Number five, whether government intends to decentralize the validation and securitization process to all provinces in order to improve accessibility and reduce the burden on citizens. Number six, how rural communities, elderly citizens, and persons residing far from conveyancing services will be accommodated and assisted. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, what safeguards exist to ensure that no citizen loses, compromises, or is deprived of their property rights solely due to the inability to afford or access the validation process? Honorable Speaker, land and home ownership are matters of dignity. They are matters of security, inheritance, and economic empowerment. Any reform in this critical sector must therefore strike a balance between modernization, affordability, inclusivity, and social justice. If not carefully implemented, a well-intentioned program risks placing an additional burden on ordinary citizens who are already facing significant economic challenges. I therefore respectfully, Mr. Speaker, say, request that the responsible minister provide a comprehensive ministerial statement to this House, clarifying the legal status of existing title deeds,
Right.
the cost implications of the program.
Order, honorable members. Honorable Gumede, I think we have heard the jinx of your presentation. As we stand guided by the standing orders book, points of national interest are primarily supposed. Please take your seat when I talk and switch off your mic. Points of national interest are primarily supposed to be 1-minute statements. But because you are bringing up a very pertinent issue, I had indulged you. But you seem now to want to go on and repetitively, so to say. So I think basically...
I was wrapping up, Mr. Speaker. I was on my last sentence. Actually.
Please, order, take your seat, Honorable Gumede. I think you are lucky because this government is led by a listening president and listening ministers. So all your concerns that we have put across today, which are concerns for every Zimbabwean on this issue, are duly all noted. The minister is here present and he's been listening to you very carefully, and I'm sure the minister will furnish the House with a ministerial statement to guide us accordingly on how this proceeds. But all in all, your prayers have been heard and they shall be duly answered. Thank you. The next
Thank you.
honorable member to take the floor on the point of national interest. There is just one more, Honorable Minister. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, while I respect what you have said, that was not a point of national interest. Perhaps what she could have done was to ask a question or request the committee, because there are lots of technical details that are required. Parliament in session here is not supposed to deal with details that she was asking. Perhaps if she could have asked the clerk to organize so that you summon the permanent secretary, the chief registrar, so that the committee can be availed an opportunity to ask and appreciate what is happening, that would help. But if you want a ministerial statement, would probably not do justice, but the relevant committee, if it interrogates that, it will allow Parliament to appreciate the process in a better way. I submit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your prompt response and guidance, and I hope, Honorable Gumede, you shall be guided accordingly. Like I said, it's a very, very important question and matter, so maybe if you could follow the direction given by the Honorable Minister, it will help us all, it will help the whole House, because I'm sure every member of Parliament here is got the same issue that is happening in their constituencies, and people are seeking for answers. So let's follow the route given by the Honorable Minister so that we have a comprehensive response that we can give back to our people. Right, the next member to take the floor is Honorable Maoneke.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Good afternoon.
I rise to share a point of national interest. Subject to the recognition of First Lady Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa's visit to the National Sports Stadium for the football match between Scotland FC versus Capes United FC. The First Lady's attendance highlights the importance of investing in sports. As a vehicle for community development and economic growth. Increase the visibility of sporting events can attract sponsorship and financial support, benefiting local teams and our local athletes. Her presence stimulates and advocates for national cohesion. Sporting events bring together individuals from diverse backgrounds, fostering a spirit of togetherness and unity. It boosts local tourism. High-profile matches at National Sports Stadium can enhance tourism, leading to increased business for local vendors and service providers. This is a step towards positioning Zimbabwe as a hub for international sporting events, further stimulating economic growth. It's also a measure that addresses drug and substance abuse. By actively engaging in sports and public events, we send a clear message to the youth regarding the importance of healthy lifestyles and the dangers of drug abuse. Promoting involvement.
Point of order. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Promoting involvement in sports can serve as a positive outlet for young people, diverting them from negative influences.
Point of order.
I would rather prefer that you allow him to finish. And if you have any objection, then let's do that.
Mr. Speaker. Chemo what no shams amkat member ino unoti kana point of order chinge yasimudzwa. Munofanira kupa vanoremekezwa kuti vataure mashoko avo. Point of order yangu ndeyokuti 1 minute statement ndo yatikuita pano iyi yadarika. Chepiri ndechekuti mutemo wemba inomubatwa chigaro unoti kusvikana 235 pachitwa mapoints of national interest. Zvino nguva iyoyo yadarika taakutorya nguva yebusiness. Ipai vaziyambiri vapinde munyaya tonototangira pano. Attend.
Tinotenda honorable members. Munoratidza kuti munofarira zvokuverenga chaizvo. Rambai muchiverenga muchazogara pano. Pedzisai honorable Maoneke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The First Lady's commitment to attending this match reflects strong leadership and sets a positive example for governance. It signals a proactive approach by government representatives to engage with citizens and inspire participation in communal activities. I therefore make a recommendation that Parliament should consider the implementation of policies that further promote sport investments, community involvement, and strategies that combat drug and substance abuse, ensuring a healthier, more cohesive society. Parliamentarians should also follow suit. So I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Maoneke.
Point of privilege. Point of privilege, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Chigumbu, how are you?
Ndakasimba ini mbato wechigaro.
Yes.
Mbato wechigaro, point of privilege yangu ndeyekuda kungotenda. Andisati ndakamboona maminista akawanda zvakadai mumba muno. Semawandiro akaita nhasi. Ndinoda kubva ndangotora mukana uno, Honorable Speaker, kuti ndivaudze kuti musi wechitatu wega wega pano panobvunzwa mibvunzo yavanofanira kuya kuzopindura. Saka tinoda kukuonera kuti mangwana makawanda zvamakaita izvi. Ndatenda.
Zvawikwa Honorable Chigumbu vazvinzwira voga. Vanogara vechiuya vacharamba vechiuya.
Point of order.
Yes, Honorable Shachwayo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I had indicated that I have a point of national interest. I would like to think that there was just an administrative mishap. I had indicated to our chief whips that I've got a point of national interest. And if you can allow me to proceed. It will be very brief.
Order, please take your seat, Honorable Shachwayo, and switch off your mic. Honorable Chief Whips, can you please make sure that you take Honorable Shachwayo's name for the next day's point of order without fail, please.
Mr. Speaker, I indicated that to Honorable Pinduka, who is the acting
chief whip from ZANU-PF, and surely I think she's supposed to be afforded that time to raise her matter. I did that, Honorable Speaker.
Order. Right. We shall indulge you the next time, Honorable Shatwai.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order.
Point of order.
Order, Honorable Shatwai. Order. Please switch off your mic. Unfortunately, I've made a ruling on that one, and I am not going back. Honorable Lajwai, the gods are with you today. We shall allow you to do, but please, like you said, it's going to be a short one.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to speak to my point of national interest. I rise on a point of national interest in light of the World Menstrual Hygiene Day that is commemorated globally on the 28th of May every year, the 28th representing the average length of menstrual cycle. It is a day set aside to recognize that menstruation is not just a women's issue, but is a community issue that requires collective responsibility and action. The theme was Together for a Period-Friendly World, and seeks to break the silence surrounding menstrual health and hygiene, ending stigma and ensuring universal access to safe menstrual products and hygiene facilities. What is the situation in our country, Honorable Speaker? UNICEF estimates that 72% of menstrual access to menstrual hygiene products, safe facilities, and open education changes outcomes for girls and young women. What is the call of action that I'm putting before the House? Communities, governments, schools, families, and development partners must work together to ensure menstrual hygiene products are affordable and accessible to all. We must break the silent stigma and shame surrounding menstruation through encouraging open and inclusive conversations on this subject matter. I thank this House for allocating a budget line for sanitary wear in the 2026 national budget, and for recognizing the impact of period poverty on our young girls, especially from low-income families in high-density suburbs and in rural areas. I, however, call for increased allocation for this vital budget line to reduce the appalling figures of period poverty and the attendant disastrous impacts as alluded to earlier. I'm so happy that the Minister of Finance is in the House. Men and boys have a critical role to play too in supporting menstrual health and dignity. By promoting understanding, respect, and support, they create safe and enabling environments where girls and women can thrive without discrimination and embarrassment. I also applaud Parliament for its various charity initiatives and further call for a focus on donating menstrual hygiene products to keep girls in school with dignity, especially in high-density suburbs and in rural schools. I further call for increased support for local pad making initiatives and women-led enterprises through incentives that increase production and reduce costs to ensure availability and affordability of menstrual hygiene products. I also strongly believe that a period-friendly world is a world that recognizes the challenges that some women and girls go through during menstruation, including severe period pains. I therefore encourage this House and the Executive to adopt progressive employment policies such as menstrual leave to allow female workers to take paid time off when experiencing severe period symptoms. Zambia, just next door, has such a progressive policy. Menstrual health is human rights, health, education, and gender equality issue. Menstrual hygiene must be a priority and a human right and not a class issue and a privilege for a select few. When we support menstrual dignity, we protect the future of girls and strengthen our communities. I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sachayo. It's also a very pertinent issue that you have raised, and I hope all departments will be guided accordingly. All the honorable members, I think going further, shall we try and conform to the requirements of the standing orders on these issues pertaining national interests? We can't have people going on and on for 5 minutes and above on something that is prescribed in the standing orders. Like I said before, I'll repeat again, I prefer a situation whereby you liaise with your chief whips so that you try and compress these matters of national interest. They are very important, but they need to be compressed so that we stick to time. Right, a notice of presentation of bill, the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I rise to present the Constitution of Zimbabwe, Amendment number 3 Bill of 2026. The bill, Mr. Speaker, introduces a set of constructive reforms that, taken together, reinforce constitutional governance, strengthen democratic structures, clarify institutional mandates, and harmonize Zimbabwe's constitutional order with tested and successful practices in other progressive jurisdictions. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. The clerk will read the bill for the first time.
Constitution of Zimbabwe, Amendment number 3, HB 1, 2026.
What day for second reading, Honorable Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order. 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 Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. The clerk will now read the first order of the day.
Mr. Speaker, I move that orders number 1 to 25 be stood over until order number 26 has been disposed of.
2 seconds.
I second, Honorable Speaker, sir.
You said order number 26, right? Honorable Government Chief Whip, you said order number 26? All right, thank you. So the clerk will read the 26th order of the day.
Urgent debate on motion on the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the audited financial statements for the Agricultural and Rural Development Authority, ADA, in the Auditor General's report on state-owned enterprises for the year ended 31st December 2023, SC 42-2025.
Thank you. When this debate was adjourned on 28th April 2026, the question before the House was a motion by Honorable Mateu that this House considers and adopts the report of... Hey, what is happening there? Order. Order. The question before the House was a motion by Honorable Mateu that this House considers and adopts the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the audited financial statements for the Agricultural and Rural Development Authority, ADA, in the Auditor General's report on the state-owned enterprises for the year ended 31st of December 2023, SC 42-2025. Is there any further debate? I've got a list of honorable members here whom I shall ask to take the floor on this matter. The first honorable member to take the floor is Honorable V. Mutokoni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the report, the other report, a lot of issues were highlighted, and also we note that in terms of the financial reporting standards, the items were also flagged in by the Auditor General, and from the recommendations, Mr. Speaker, the committee actually gave a lot of recommendations, which we also think that if they are adhered to, they would actually bring the financial systems of ADA into order. Because what is actually important is in all these structures, in terms of the structure of ADA, right from the accounting officer, the responsible authorities in terms of ensuring that the financials in terms of the reporting standards is aligned in terms of IFRS, in terms of international accounting reporting standards. That also was highlighted in the report. Also, again, Mr. Speaker, in terms of the recommendations again, the issues of the issues that were also highlighted there in terms of the reporting again on the assets, in terms of their valuations. Again, this again an issue of the systems that has to be adhered to, because year in, year out, these issues, Mr. Speaker, they are highlighted in various reports from the Auditor General's reports, and again, it also then has to that the accounting officer, which is the responsible authority in the ADA, also had to ensure that as we present these various recommendations from the observations that were made by the local authority, it is not expected that the same issues again are raised next year, Mr. Speaker, which would then also highlight the issue of performance, because at times now it then becomes a performance issue, where I also believe that in terms of the performances, we have got the employer, which is the Public Service Commission. I also want to think that they also have to be served with the reports in terms of the recommendations, so that the employer should know what their employees are also doing in terms of what they are asked to do, and whether they are following that, and so that we don't expect to see the same recommendations, the same issues highlighted here, but in terms of remedial actions, which then becomes very minimal. But otherwise, ADA is a very critical institution in as far as the agricultural development of this nation, and to ensuring that the rural communities, the commercial communities, they do the contract farming, and as such, all the systems, all what they are doing is very important for this nation. And also we do hope and trust that the recommendations that were made by the committee should also be implemented, so that as a nation we move forward towards an upper middle income society, towards the Vision 2030. I do submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mutakoni. The next member to take the floor is Honorable Mkomberi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I also want to add my voice on the Public Accounts Committee report pertaining to ADA, following the observation that was made by the Auditor General in terms of financial reporting.
Order. Can we do our movements in silence, honorable members? Order. Right. Can Honorable Mkomberi please be heard in silence?
Oh, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to also add my voice on the Public Accounts Committee's report on ADA, the financial reporting following the Auditor General's report. According to the reports, according to the Auditor General's opinion, a qualified opinion was issued to ADA where specific and certain items were indicated in terms of the shortcomings that were associated with their financial reporting. Specifically, it was observed that by the Auditor General, it was observed that the authority did not review the residual values and useful lives of assets, as well as not carrying out impairment assessment of such assets. This was indicative of a deficiency in terms of asset management and reporting, and that was not moving in line with the requirements of the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, that parastatals are required to present their financials in a way that gives a clear, fair view of the financial position of an entity. To this end, failure to do such valuations of assets or revaluations means that the statement of financial position could not review correctly the financial position in terms of assets of the parastatal. However, the director indicated that following this observation by the Auditor General, the authority subsequently did evaluation for the financial year ending 31 December 2023. This was indicative of the zeal of the parastatal to act upon the recommendations that were made, or the observations that were made by the Auditor General. It was recommended by the committee, Honorable Speaker, said that in the following financial years, or the years of assessment, the parastatal should actually present the financial statements in a true and fair view that will actually give the consumers of such financial statements a true view as to what is the actual financial position, by constantly undertaking the revaluation of assets, so that the correct residual values of assets will be presented in the financial statements, as well as proper carrying out of impairment assessment as is required by IPSAS be conducted accordingly. Honorable Speaker, say, I want to submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mukomberi. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Mangondo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I rise to add my voice to the report from the Public Accounts Committee relating to others' financial statements for the years 2021 and 2022, which were tabled on the Auditor General's report for the year ended 31 December 2023. Honorable Speaker, sir, the report of the Auditor General highlighted two major...
Order, Honorable Mangondo. Please raise your mic so that you are audible. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Auditor General highlighted two major issues which were then interrogated by the Public Accounts Committee. The first issue has to do with the evaluation of property, plant and equipment in terms of IPSAS. The Auditor General observed that the management of ADA had not revalued their assets for a period of time. The management of ADA, in response to the inquiry by the Public Accounts Committee, indicated that they had their assets revalued and verified in the year 2023, and that this should be then appear in the 2024 Auditor General's report. To that extent, Honorable Speaker, sir, the committee also interrogated the issue of the assets register. After the report of the Auditor General had also indicated that they did not have a proper asset register framework. The management of ADA indicated the measures that had been taken to correct the discrepancies that had been observed by the Auditor General. To that extent, the committee recommended that the ADA management should provide the necessary documentation and verification as well as decoding of those assets by 30 September 2026. Honorable Speaker, this was a very short audit report, and it also highlights the fact that I think management at ADA had attended to the issues that had been raised, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, I will not waste the House time, and would like to commend ADA for taking appropriate measures to rectify the issues that had been raised by the Auditor General, indeed by the committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Mangondo. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Einkani. Is Honorable Nkani there? Oh.
Tinotenda mubati wechigaro. Ndoda kungowedzera mashoko mashomanana pa audit report yepaki yakanangana neADA. Ichokwadi mubati wechigaro kuti pamanyorerwo anoitwa zvinhu mumapoka akawanda ehurumende tine dambudziko rokuti kune atinoti mastandards kana kuti zvinotarisirwa kunge zvichinyorwa kana zvichitaurwa panonyorwa maripoti iwaya. Tiri kusangana nedambudziko rekuti vazhinji havasati vakunzwisisa kuti kwakanziko kune standard number 16 inotaura kuti midziyo yehurumende inonyorwa sei. Tiri kuona kuti ipapo pane dambudziko shoma, asi ndiri kufara kuti vakawanda vakuinda vachidzidza vachifambirana nezviri kudiwa nema international accounting standards. Saka chandinongokurudzira ndechekuti mapoka ose anobata mari yehurumende ngavatore vashandi vavo vavaendese kunodzidziswa kuti ma-accounting standards kubva panumber 1 kusvika panumber yekupedzisira inotaura nezverevaluation yema-assets inenge inorevei vodzidza, inotaura zvekuti midziyo yehurumende zvakafanana neland equipment zvinofanira kubatanidzwa here, hazvifaniri kubatanidzwa here. Zvese izvozvo zvakati wandei zvatiri kuona zvichiramba zvichidzokorodzeka pakunyorwa kwema-accounts mapoka ehurumende. Saka ndinokurudzira kuti mapoka ose iwaya ngaatore vashandi vavo vainde vanodzidza ma-financial accounting standards kuti anorevei, zvinenge zvifanira kunge zvichinyorwa zvakadii. Muchidimbu ndinoti aiwa hongo adha yakanga ichita seiri kumasure, asi iko zvino aiwa yapika yaakufamba zvakanaka, dai yaramba yakadaro. Maita basa.
Thank you, Honorable Nkani. Tinotenda zvikuru. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable W. Maposa.
Tinotenda zvikuru, Honorable Speaker se. Ndokumbira matipa nguva yakanaka ndiwedzere masoko pane zvataurwa navamwe vese nenyaya adha ripoti yakanyorwa nema-auditors vaenda paground kunoona kuti veadha vari kushanda sei. Hakusi kureva kuti veadha vanotadza basa, vanogona, asi zvavari kuita paripoti dzavo vari kusanganisa zvinhu zvinotiwo kana taakuona zvinotishamisa kuti vanoedha maproperty nema-assets pamwe chete uye neland. Zvinozoita kuti ma-auditor oshamisika kuti vanhu vakaiswa pabasa ava kutadza here yet pamakaemployiwa makanzi toda munhu akadai naakadai, zvinoita zvinodzorera government iri kumashure. Saka tinotenda veauditor vese vakatiratidza ende vakaudza vanhu veadha kuti kana muchiita basa separatai zvinhu zvenyu, musaisa zvinhu zvenyu panzvimbo imwe chete. Ndinotenda kuti zvinhu zvakawanda zvataurwa, ndingangoramba ndichiwedzera izvo zvataurwa nevamwe vese, asi adha iri kuita kuti vanhu vaone zvokudya munyika ino yeZimbabwe. Tinotenda zvikuru, Honorable Speaker se.
Tinotenda Honorable Maposa. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Maburute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to debate on a report of the Public Accounts Committee on the audited financial statement of ADA. The committee undertook this inquiry following the issuance of qualified audit opinion on ADA's financial statements for the 2021 and 2022 financial year, which is a clear indication of the material weaknesses in financial reporting and the governance systems. Honorable Speaker, the committee's findings reveals serious deficiencies in asset management within ADA It was observed that the authority failed to review the residual values and useful lives of its assets and did not carry out impairment assessment as required by applicable accounting standards. Furthermore, some assets recorded in the asset register could not be physically verified, raising concern about the existence, safeguarding, and proper accounting of public assets. These weaknesses point to significant lapses in internal controls and expose public resources to risk of misappropriation and loss or misuse. In addition, Honorable Speaker, the committee observed weaknesses in the disposal and the verification of assets. Although the disposal of certain assets had been approved as far back as 2020, implementation was delayed, partly due to external factors such as COVID-19 pandemic, and only later regularized.
Order, Honorable Honorable Msani. Honorable Msani. Honorable Msani, could you please approach the chair? Could you please approach the chair? Honorable Msani, please approach the chair. You may go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, the inability to verify some assets physically further underscores deficiencies in the record keeping and the asset tracking systems, which are fundamental components of sound financial management. These findings have broader implications for governance, finance integrity, and public trust. Inaccurate or incomplete asset records distort the true financial position of the authority. Mr. Speaker, ADA is doing a great job in our nation of providing food security. Most of their shortcomings were rectified, and I think most of the facts have been said by other MPs who have already contributed. So I can safely say I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Maburute. Next, Honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Chidua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. Honorable
afternoon.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to debate the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the audited financial statements of the Agricultural and Rural Development Authority, ADA. Honorable Speaker, while this report focuses on ADA, the issues that are coming out, the issues the report is highlighting, are a sobering reminder of the challenges we face in ensuring accountability, transparency across all our state-owned enterprises. Mr. Speaker, sir, this report is not merely a technical report that is filled with the accounting jargon. This is a report that speaks to the very heart of how we should manage our nation's strategic assets, how we should ensure food security, and most importantly, how we uphold the trust reposed in us by the people of Zimbabwe. Honorable Speaker, the committee analyzed ADA's financial statements for the year 2021 and 2022 as already alluded to, and the findings are quite frankly deeply concerning. The Auditor General issued a qualified audit opinion for the 2 years, pointing to a litany of lapses in asset management and financial reporting. Honorable Speaker, the Auditor General, the ADA failed to properly value its properties, to properly value its plants and equipment. And for a massive organization like ADA, with vast land holdings and extensive infrastructure, this is not a trivial omission. The failure to review the residual values and useful lives of assets, as well as the lack of impairment assessments, means that the figures in their financial statements were essentially guesswork. This is a clear breach of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards, IPSAS, and a serious red flag for anyone trying to understand the true financial health of ADA. Honorable Speaker, ADA by its very nature is the cornerstone of our agricultural sector. It is a state-owned enterprise charged with the monumental task of driving rural development and spearheading agricultural productivity. The assets under its management, that is the land, the machinery, the infrastructure, are national assets. They are the tools for our prosperity. Therefore, when the Auditor General issues a qualified audit opinion on ADA's financial statements for the years 2021 and 2022, this House must sit up and take notice. A qualified opinion is a red flag. It is a sign that in the professional judgment of the Auditor General, the financial statements do not present a true and fair view in certain material respects. Mr. Speaker, the most glaring finding of this report is a systematic failure on asset management. The Auditor General observed, and our inquiry confirmed, that ADA did not review the residual values and the useful lives of its assets. Furthermore, ADA failed to conduct necessary impairment assessments, and perhaps most disturbingly, some assets listed in the register could not be physically verified. Mr. Speaker, when an entity does not track the useful life of a machine, it cannot plan for its replacement. And when it does not assess impairment, it may be overstating the value of its assets, masking a true picture of its financial health. And when it cannot find a listed asset, it raises a terrifying specter of poor control and the potential for misuse or worse, theft of public property. Mr. Speaker, how can we as a nation plan our agriculture strategy when we don't know the true value or even the physical existence of the very assets needed to execute the strategy? This is not just bad accounting. It is a profound failure of stewardship. Mr. Speaker, there is also the issue of the violation of statutory obligations and the best practices that is expected of state-owned enterprises. The failure is not just an operational oversight, but it is a direct violation of our legal and ethical frameworks. And I will start with non-compliance with the IPSAS. This is an issue that has been discussed already. Honorable Mkomberi mentioned it and other honorable members. But Honorable Speaker, I would want to say that the refusal or the inability to conduct these asset reviews is a direct contravention of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards. And Zimbabwe as a country, we are modernizing our financial reporting. We are telling the world that Zimbabwe is a good place to invest, where we adhere with global best practices. And these standards are not optional. They are the benchmarks for transparency. A failure to comply is a failure to meet our international commitments as a country. Then the other issue, Honorable Speaker, is non-compliance with the Public Finance Management Act. This brings me to our own homegrown legal champion of accountability, which is the Public Finance Management Act. The Public Finance Management Act is the supreme law of financial conduct in this country. It places clear and unequivocal responsibilities on accounting officers to manage the financial affairs of their entities with prudence, care, and diligence. The failure we have seen and unearthed as a committee, the inability to account for assets, the lack of valuation, the weaknesses in internal controls, are a direct affront to the spirit and letter of the Public Finance Management Act. Honorable Speaker, it clearly represents a dereliction of duty. Then the issue of good governance. Honorable Speaker, good governance is built on the pillars of transparency, accountability, and responsiveness. And when a board approves the disposal of assets in the year 2020, yet it is only ratified later, maybe because they cited that there was COVID-19. And this again showed a multi-year excuse of delay. We may question the effectiveness and the responsiveness of that governance structure. So, if this was approved by the board and nothing was done, where was the oversight? Where was the pressure to execute? The lack of regular, timely asset verification is a symptom of weak internal control environment. This is a governance breakdown that puts the entire organization at risk. So these are the issues that I'm raising, Honorable Speaker, especially looking at the negatives that we can point to the board and management. But Honorable Speaker, I may also want to point out some positives with regards to progress that has been made by other management in addressing some of the issues that were highlighted by the Public Accounts Committee. The first issue is their response to the audit findings. Honorable Speaker, following the observations by the Auditor General regarding the lack of regular asset reviews, I'm happy to say the management has taken a corrective measure to address those issues that were raised by the Auditor General. Then there is also the issue of the 2023 valuation report. And I would want to point out again that the 2023 valuation report was completed. The Director of Finance confirmed that the authority subsequently conducted a full valuation of assets for the financial year ending 31 December 2023. This was as a result of the findings of the Auditor General. And I would want to applaud other management for taking a corrective step, which was as a result of the findings that came from the Auditor General and some of the issues that were raised by the Public Accounts Committee. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the findings in this report are a serious wake-up call for government, for the Public Accounts Committee as we do our oversight. We cannot and must not tolerate a culture of mediocrity in our state-owned enterprises. These are not private companies. These are companies that are funded and they belong to the people of Zimbabwe. The Public Finance Management Act was not written to be ignored. IPSA standards were not adopted to be symbolic. Good governance is not a buzzword. It is the absolute minimum requirement for running a national institution. Let this debate serve as a clear signal that this Parliament, through the Public Accounts Committee, will not relent. We will continue to shine a light on every corner of public finance. We will continue to hold the gatekeepers to account. Mr. Speaker, I move that this report be adopted. I so submit.
Thank you. Were you the chairperson of this report? I thought Honorable Mateo was. So Honorable Mateo, please move for the adoption.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Just needless to say, as all the honourable members here who have debated this motion, this report by the Public Accounts Committee, I think it's imperative to note that there is need for the full adoption of IPSAS by ADA, and I'm glad the Minister of Agriculture is in the House. And also our recommendations, which I want to repeat to the Minister. And I'm also glad the Minister of Finance is here, because in 10 days he will need to produce treasury minutes to this effect in terms of the law. So there were two recommendations that the committee gave to government, which was one, that the authority should institutionalize a formal set of management framework that ensures regular review of residual assets, useful lives, and impairment in accordance to IPSAS. It is worrying, Mr. Speaker, to note that some assets listed in the register could not be physically verified, indicating obviously that there were weak controls or potential risk of misuse. So the Public Accounts Committee is concerned that the assets could not be verified. So with these words, I move for the adoption.
Sorry, Honorable Mateo. Perhaps we jumped the gun because the Minister of Agriculture is here in the House, so he might have wanted to respond to this report. So maybe shall we just hold on?
Mr. Speaker.
Right, thank you. No, I'm being guided here. It's supposed to be the Minister of Finance who will respond to this.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order?
In terms of the law, the Public Accounts Committee recommendations are responded within 10 working days in terms of treasury minutes by the Minister of Finance. So the Minister of Finance has 10 days to make an official response to this House. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Right, Honorable Mateo, what is supposed to happen procedurally is that the minister will respond through the treasury minutes. So therefore, do not move for the adoption of the report now until the minister is responded. So we can now just move for the adjournment of the debate. Right.
Mr. Speaker, sir. I don't know if you can indulge me.
Yes, Honorable Madhwani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have never seen a situation whereby the minister responds to a Public Accounts Committee report. The Public Accounts Committee report is responded to only through treasury minutes. The Minister of Finance, what the Minister of Finance will do is the Minister of Finance is going to be the chief coordinator to all MDAs to ensure that all reports made by Parliament, especially the public accounts, are responded to through treasury minutes. But the ministers can respond to any other business of other committees, which is not the Public Accounts Committee. I think they need to verify that one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the adoption must go ahead with the...
Yes. I think you are saying exactly what I just said. You are just saying it in a different tone and a different voice. But I said exactly that. My tone is a bit cockish and yours was a bit hard. Right, Honorable Acting Government Chief Whip, move for adjournment of the debate.
Mr. Speaker, sir, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I move that the debate do now adjourn.
2 seconds.
I second, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? I put the question that the debate be now adjourned. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed, and the debate is adjourned to what day, Honorable Acting Government Chief Whip?
To tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Shall we move to the next order, Honorable Acting Government Chief Whip?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. We go straight to order number 27.
The clerk will read the 27th order of the day.
Adjourn debate on motion on the report of the Public Accounts Committee on Zimbabwe's 2020 audited accounts in the 2022 Auditor General's report for state-owned enterprise for the year ended 31st December 2023, SC 58, 2025.
When the debate was adjourned on the 28th of April 2026, the question before the House was a motion by Honorable Mateu that this House considers and adopts the report of the Public Accounts Committee on Air Zimbabwe's 2020 audited accounts in the Auditor General's report on state-owned enterprises for the year ended 31st December 2023. Is there any debate? I've got a list of the following members that I shall ask to take the floor. The first honorable member to take this floor is Honorable Timu Komeri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In terms of Air Zimbabwe, the Auditor General noted that there were variances in the opening balances or the financial statements of the period under review. According to the Auditor General's report, there was a significant variance amounting to 92,480,450. This is a significant amount which was identified between the closing balances of the previous financial year and the opening balances of the year under review. So this disagreement between the figures is actually indicative of lack of proper adjusting of events after reporting debt as per requirement of IFRS and IPSAS. However, the management noted that the discrepancy was a result from an adjusting entry which was passed in 2020 to account for retrenchment costs that were incurred during the reconstruction period. To this end, Honorable Speaker, it was confirmed by the Auditor General that this issue was rectified, which is actually good news to hear. And it was then recommended by the committee that management should always recognize all costs as and when they are incurred, and this is actually in line with the requirements of the accruals accounting principle or accounting basis that is under International Public Sector Accounting Standards. So the IPSAS require that accounting for all transactions should be on accrual basis rather than on cash basis. So costs should be matched to the periods under which they are incurred rather than the periods under which they are paid. Also, there was a complete violation of IAS 2 in IFRIS, that is for inventory valuation, and also as per requirement of IPSAS, that the inventory valuation was not done properly for the period under review, as the Auditor General noted that there was an immense amount of representing inventory that had not been recognized in the financial statements, and that had been recognized in the financial statements without corresponding physical counting at the end of year, and this violating the requirements of the accounting standards, that there should be a proper counting of the physical existence of inventory units that are actually sitting in the books of accounts, rather than simply taking the closing balances in the ledger accounts, then record them in the financial statements without physical counting or stock count. Management or airline officials, however, attributed this to COVID-19-induced lockdown, since this period was affected by COVID-19 lockdowns, that we actually restricted physical stock count due to such lockdowns by the year end. It was reported by the officials that inventory counts have been duly conducted in the years that followed, and the resultant values have been actually verified and agreed upon by the auditors. This actually is indicative of the zeal by the officials to also act upon the observations and the recommendations made by the auditors. There was also a key factor that affects transparency and proper accountability that was noted in terms of delayed financial statements reporting or submissions for auditing. It was discovered that the financial statements for 2023 have not been submitted for audit as at 30 June 2025, and that actually is in violation with the requirements of Public Finance Management Act, specifically Section 28, subsection 1, that requires that there is need for any public entity to meet the required annual audits debt. And also Section 12 of the Public Entities Corporate Governance Act requires timely submission of financial statements for auditing. Section 12, subsection 3 was also violated to this end. It was therefore recommended that Zimbabwe should submit all outstanding financial statements to the Auditor General by 31 August 2026. This was a recommendation that was made by the committee, since this is a fundamental requirement to enhance accountability, to enhance transparency, since the Auditor General now acts as the watchdog of the public to give a reasonable assurance that the financial statements represent a true and fair view of what actually transpired in terms of financial position as well as financial performance. So if they are not submitted in time, then the accountability and transparency question is not answered. It was also recommended that by the comment that the government should also take a timely submission of financial statements as part of performance contracts for accounting officers as a key initiative also to improve accountability and transparency. It was also discovered, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that the internal audit function had some loopholes as it was discovered that the Zimbabwe's internal controls were not subject to frequent reviews, which is a key fundamental to improve the internal checks, to improve the internal controls before actually conducting the external audits. So this was actually discovered that this was due to the lack of the company's internal audit function, and this actually also violated the requirements of the Public Entities and Corporate Governance Act that there should be a functioning internal audit system that actually does the checks and balances before the external audit. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I want to submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mkomberi. The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Vemu Tokonyi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in terms of the statement of financial position, for decisions to be made, there has to be information. And the statement of financial positions informs in terms of the viability, in terms of the status of the entity. So the assets and the liabilities informs on the balance sheet. So the issue of the inventory valuation, which was highlighted that there was no corresponding figures in terms of counting, in terms of checking the assets as in the inventory report. This will then give wrong information on the statement of financial position, and thereby wrong decisions are also made. But however, in terms of the responses also came through that was then since rectified. In terms of the Public Entity and the Corporate Governance Act, Madam Speaker, again the issues of the internal auditors, which was also picked by the auditor, that the entity I think took for 18 months without internal audit. So that also then give the entity a challenge, particularly in terms of the systems and in terms of the processes and procedures that should be or that are done in the entity, thereby giving us the information that might not be correct. So the committee actually recommended that the entity should ensure that they are in line, they operate in line in terms of the laws of the land, particularly in terms of the Public Entity and Corporate Governance Act, and in terms of also the Public Finance Management Act. Again, in the report, Madam Speaker, there was the issue of the asset, the aircraft, which were the value of what, 30 million, which was actually not an impairment test was not done in terms of the standards again, in terms of the accounting standards. And that would also then give the wrong information in terms of the decisions. Because when the statement of financial positions is availed, decisions are made based on those numbers. Again, Madam Speaker, the report highlighted the issues of staffing, where the key positions like the CEO, eventually, I think they eventually staffed some of them, but still the chief financial officer is still outstanding. That is a very key position, which could actually be why we are getting these kind of reports, particularly in terms of the process, in terms of the procedure, in terms of the quality again of the statement of financial position. And this will then lead to wrong decisions made because of the wrong numbers, or maybe not verifying numbers. But the report also alluded that a lot of other challenges were there, but what we see as the biggest problem is the entity is still to submit as it when we engaged them, they were still to submit the 2023 reports. We are now in 2026, Madam Speaker. That also poses a challenge, whereby recommendation, if that will be done, they should be done and implemented. Otherwise, right now we are recommending on, we are talking right now of 2019 report, and we are in 2026. Yes, there was COVID and all others, but all other ministries had the same situation, but did submitted the report. So it's very important to get the right people at their right jobs. Earlier on, I alluded that in all this, the employer should be available. The Public Service Commission should know. But some of these also can then become performance issues, whereby whether we have got the right people for the right job or not. And as such, the employer should also be served with these recommendations, so that they also advise from the employer's perspective. But otherwise, we anticipate more improvement from the assurance that we got from the CEO in terms of all the other recommendations and challenges which they had. Again, there was an aircraft which is still parked right now in South Africa, and we believe the management should rectify that, because this is a national asset which is outside the country, and it might then start to get charges or other costs that may arise from that. So, Madam Speaker, I think much has been said from the report. I do submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tokonyi. I now recognize Honorable Pinduka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I move that the debate do now adjourn.
Okay, it has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? Okay. Who seconds?
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
Okay, it has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? I put the question that the debate be now adjourned. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is accordingly affirmed, and the debate is adjourned. To what date?
To tomorrow, Madam Speaker.
Vice Chief Whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I move that we proceed straight to order number 28 on today's order paper.
Okay, the clerk will read the 28th order of the day.
Urgent debate on motion on the need to recognize domestic and unpaid care work in Zimbabwe as a vital part of national development.
When this debate was adjourned on the 14th May 2026, the question before the House was motioned by Honorable O. Sibanda, as set forth on page 1263 of today's order paper. Is there any debate? Honorable O. Sibanda.
Maposa.
Maposa.
Yes, Maposa.
Honorable Maposa.
Yes, there's debate, Honorable Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Okay, you can take the floor, Honorable.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker.
Afternoon, Honorable Member.
Thank you so much. I rise. Thank you so much for the opportunity that you have given me. I rise to support the motion moved by Honorable Osbanda and seconded by Honorable Pijo on the urgent need for Zimbabwe to recognize the value and support unpaid domestic and care worker. Honorable Speaker, Madam, one of the greatest contradiction in modern economics is that the work which sustains humanity every single day is often the work least recognized by the economic system. Before a teacher enters the classroom, before a miner enters the shaft, before a doctor enters the hospital, before this parliament even convenes here, there is invisible labor and has already taken place somewhere in our homes. Honorable Speaker, Madam, someone has cooked, cleaned and cared for children, attended to the sick, fetched water, gathered firewood, and emotional helped family togetherness. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, yet despite carrying the nation quietly on their backs, millions of women remain statistically invisible in national economic calculations. Honorable Speaker, Madam, if all women in Zimbabwe stopped unpaid care worker for just 1 week, our economy would immediately experience a social and productivity crisis. Honorable Speaker, Madam, hospitals would feel it, schools would feel it, workplaces would feel it again, community would feel it, this house itself would feel it as well. The tragic is that we only notice unpaid care worker when it stops and not when it continues to sustain the society. Honorable Speaker, Madam, I submit that unpaid care work is not merely a women's issue. It is an economic infrastructure issues. It is an important as roads, electricity and water systems because it supports the human capital upon which every economy depends. Honorable Speaker, Madam, countries that fail to recognize care economic eventually experience reduced female productivity.
Order, Honorable. Order. There is a notice here. There is this car with this number plate AFB 9246, a Land Cruiser Prado, is blocking other motorists in the car park. The owner, please, may you go and remove your car. You can go ahead, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Madam. I will take it again. I submit that unpaid care worker is not merely a woman's issue. It is an economic infrastructure issue. It is important as roads, electricity and water system because it supports the human capital upon which every economy depends on. Countries that fail to recognize care economic eventually experience reduction in female productivity. decline in mental health, rising school dropouts, rates among girls, weakened family structure and integration poverty. Honorable Speaker, Madam, the modern economy is changing rapidly through artificial intelligence, automation and digital information. Yet even the most advanced technologies cannot replace human care. Emotional support and family nurturing, Honorable Speaker, Madam. The machine may automate functions, but they cannot raise children with compassion care for elderly parents with dignity or maintain the social coherence in our communities. This means that care worker is not outdated labor. It is strategic nation labor. The challenge before us, therefore, is in this: how can Zimbabwe build a 21st century economy while continuing to ignore one of its largest labor sectors simply because it is unpaid? Honorable Speaker, Madam, I wish to introduce a fresh dimension to this debate. We often discuss infrastructure in terms of bridges and highways, but there is also what economic now call social infrastructure. Social infrastructure include access to clean water, child care facilities, rural clinics, safe public transport, electrification and digital connectivity. Why are these important in this debate? Because poor infrastructure increases the unpaid labor burden on our women. Honorable Speaker, Madam, a woman now nearby water source may spend 4 hours fetching water daily. A girl without electricity less at night. A mother without affordable caretaker loses opportunity for education or entrepreneurship. A rural grandmother without health care facility becomes unpaid full-time caretaker givers. Therefore, when we invest in infrastructure, we are not only building roads, we are reducing unpaid labor hours and restoring dignity and economic participation. Honorable Speaker, Madam. Unpaid care worker also has major implication for national productivity and GDP growth around the world. Countries are now attempting to qualify the economic value of unpaid labor because economic increases recognize that traditional GDP. Honorable Speaker, Madam, measures undermine the women's contribution to economic. Zimbabwe must move in the same direction. I therefore strongly support the proposal for the national survey on unpaid care and domestic work. In fact, this survey should become institutionalized with our national statistics system so that future national budget and economic blueprint are informed by the realistics of unpaid labor. Honorable Speaker, Madam, I also propose that Parliament push for the development of a care economic framework within our national development strategy. Such a framework should include tax incentives for employers offering children's child care support, community child care centers, flexibility work arrangement, expansion of rural water systems, digital inclusive of women and targeted financial support for caregivers of persons with disability and the elderly. Honorable Speaker, Madam. Honorable Speaker, Madam, there's another dimension we are discussing. The mental health burden carried by unpaid caregivers. Many women are single experience exhausted, stressed and emotional, burnt out while society normalizes endless sacrifice as part of womanhood. We must not build a society where resilience is expected only from women, while systems fail to support them. A caring nation must also care for the caregivers. Therefore, I fully support this motion and urge this House to move beyond symbolic towards correct policy reform, budgetary commitments, and institutional recognition of unpaid and domestic worker. Honorable Speaker, Madam. So I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Maposa. I now recognize Honorable Karinye.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to debate on this very important motion. And Madam Speaker, I think this motion touches the hearts of many members of Parliament, including myself, especially women. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this important motion that calls for the recognition and support of unpaid care and domestic work. Firstly, Madam Speaker, unpaid care work is the invisible backbone of our economy. Every day, Madam Speaker, women and girls spend countless hours cooking, cleaning, fetching water, caring for children, caring for the sick and the elderly. This work sustains family and communities, yet it is not counted in our national income, nor it is rewarded. Without it, Madam Speaker, our economy would simply not function. Secondly, Madam Speaker, this burden falls on women and girls, creating deep gender inequality because they spend much of their time on unpaid work. Many girls are forced, Madam Speaker, to drop out from school, while women are denied opportunities to earn income, participate in leadership, and also to advance their careers. Madam Speaker, the situation becomes even more severe when we consider the various shocks that affect households. Madam Speaker, during I can just cite during the issue of COVID, Madam Speaker, it was even worse because mothers were also doing double work to go to look for the food for the family and also to look after the elderly. Madam Speaker, during the economic shocks such as unemployment or inflation, family relies even more on unpaid care work to survive, increasing the burden on women, Madam Speaker. In times of health shocks, Madam Speaker, such as also illness or disease outbreak, women and girls are expected to provide additional care without any support, often at the expense of their own health, Madam Speaker. And no one will even take care of them after they also take care of other family members. Climate-related shocks, Madam Speaker, such as droughts and water shortages, also worsen the situation, Madam Speaker. Women and girls are forced to travel longer distances to fetch water, firewood, and also increasing physical strain, and that will also reduce time for education, income generating activities. Similarly, also social shocks, that is also including family breakdowns or also migration, Madam Speaker. They also often leave women as primary caregivers without resources or without assistance. Madam Speaker, I can also highlight the issue of shocks that also exposes women to financial vulnerabilities, Madam Speaker. Without this income, Madam Speaker, or social protection, they may also resort to prostitution, especially our young girls, to survive because they will be also need to look after their parents. There is no also safety, Madam Speaker, during this crisis. It also deepens the issue of poverty and reinforces cycles of inequalities across generations, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would also want to go to touch on what I think will also help us as a nation to try by all means to reduce the vulnerability amongst our families. Madam Speaker, this motion provides practical solutions. There is also a national survey to measure the economic value of unpaid care work with that will also ensure it to be recognized and also included in the national planning. That will also, Madam Speaker, increase the investments in social services and infrastructures such as health care, clean water and energy. It will also burden, Madam Speaker, reduce the burden on the issue of protecting women from these shocks, Madam Speaker. Some may argue that the government cannot afford such measures, Madam Speaker. But I can say, Madam Speaker, in reality, Zimbabwe cannot afford to ignore this issue. Investing in care infrastructure and social protection will also strengthen resilience against shock and also promote inclusive economic growth, Madam Speaker. I therefore, Madam Speaker, urge the House to adopt this motion because it also touches the rural women and also the middle class women. Madam Speaker, may I also go to the issue which I think will also help, where I think if we share a household and caregiving responsibility equally amongst the family members, Madam Speaker, it will also help. Madam Speaker, I propose that we must also improve access to affordable child care and elderly care services in our nation. We must also, Madam Speaker, promote flexibility working hours. That will also promote work options. That will also help our women, especially those who are looking after the elderly. We must also, Madam Speaker, recognize unpaid work in economic policies and strategies as a nation. We must also provide social protection and support programs for caregivers, Madam Speaker. We all know that we used to have Manambuya Utano in our rural communities that we used to help our community. And I strongly feel that if you also give a remuneration for women who are also doing this important work for our nation, it will also help us to grow and also to unite as a nation. Madam Speaker, I would also want to urge our members of Parliament to promote economic stability in our rural constituencies so that we also give support. I know very well it's not going to be easy, but the issue of counseling, because these women and these young girls, they also need counseling because it is a trauma effect when it comes to issue of looking after the elderly and looking after the sick, because at the end, murwere anenge azoitawo kuwedzera umwe urwere pane anomuchengeta, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would also want to thank the mover of this motion, because when I was reading the plea, Madam Speaker, it will also help us as a parliament to make sure that we also take care of our beloved ones. Because when we talk of women empowerment, we must also recognize these women who are also doing the work for our nation. We have got women, Madam Speaker, who are looking after children with disabilities, Madam Speaker. Those women, they take care of the children and they will spend the whole day without even going to work. Obviously, others were working, but by the end of the day, they will lose their employment and they will end up looking after these young children who are who want to be assisted by their mothers. So as a nation, if we have a budget for these people, it will also help us to go a long way, Madam Speaker. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, recognizing unpaid care work is not just about fairness. It is about protecting vulnerable populations from economic, health and environmental shocks while unlocking national development, Madam Speaker, because it will also help our nation to grow. It will also help to support our women. I therefore urge this House, Madam Speaker, to adopt this motion I so submit.
Thank you, Honorable Kairinye. I now recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ma'am. I move that the debate do now adjourn.
Who seconds?
I second, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I now recognize the Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ma'am. Madam Speaker, I rise to give notice that tomorrow I will move that the provisions of Standing Orders number 53, subsection 1, 66, subsection 2, and 68, subsection 5, regarding the automatic adjournment of the House at 5 minutes to 7 o'clock p.m. on sitting days other than a Friday, and 25 minutes past 1 o'clock p.m. on a Friday. Private members' motions taking precedence on Wednesdays after question time, and that question time shall be on Wednesdays respectively, be suspended with effect from Wednesday 3 June 2026 and subsequent sittings in respect of the Constitution of Zimbabwe Amendment number 3 Bill and any other government business. I so submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Order, Honorable. It has been order, Honorable. It has been moved that the debate be now adjourned. Is there any debate? Yeah.
Of privilege. Point of privilege. I think this one.
Honorable members, I have an announcement again. The car with number plate AFB 9246 Land Cruiser Prado is blocking Honorable Minister. Please, Honorable Member, may you go out and remove your car, please. This is the second time.
Point of privilege.
Thank you, Madam
Point of
Speaker,
privilege, Madam Speaker.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
But I've got a point of privilege, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable
I've got a
Sashayev.
point of privilege.
Order, Honorable Sashayev. Order. It has been moved that the House do now adjourn. Order, Honorable Sashayev. It has been moved that the House do now adjourn.
I've got a point of privilege.
Order, Honorable Sashayev. I put the question that the House do now adjourn. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Those of the contrary opinion will say no. I think the aye have it. The aye have it. The question is accordingly affirmed, and the House is adjourned. To what date, Honorable?
To tomorrow, Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The House is now adjourned.